We're going to talk about Doctor Who, Season 9, Episode 3. But let me tell you a little story first. A partner of mine was the heir to his family's business. Now, when I say heir, it's not like they were leaving him millions, but it was lucrative. It was more than, working a 9 to 5. He would own a business that had employees, that had viable income. But the problem is, he had grown up in the business. He had worked the business as a kid. He had worked with his father, and he didn't want to do that. He didn't want to do it. So when he became old enough, he went out of his way to be a screw up. He stayed drunk. He started, doing pills. He would stay out late. He would break all the rules, anything he could do to be the family screw up. The problem was, the more he screwed up, the more this family gave him grace. His father, his mother just decided that it was a phase that he was going through and he would grow out of it. And that angered him because he was like, why do they keep believing in me? I don't want to do this. He avoided that uncomfortable conversation because he never told them that he didn't want to do it. He just screwed up enough that they would give it to someone else. Even though there really was no one else, or it would no longer be a family business. He had a predetermined future as far as his parents was concerned. And he ran from that so hard that he lost his life in a car crash just because he was unwilling to have a conversation with his parents to tell him he did not want the future that they had laid out for him. Let's talk about it. Hello, Governor. This is Rakai Steed, nupefromdaville, and we're here to talk about Doctor Who, Season 9, Episode 3, Under the Lake. We go to a underwater mining facility in Scotland. They find an alien ship. They're trying to, they go on board the alien ship and they find some symbols written on the wall. They're trying to leave the ship when all of a sudden the engines fire and the commander is killed. The Doctor and Clara arrive, and we find out quickly that the base is haunted by ghosts. The Doctor noticed one of the ghosts is a Tavolian. We've seen them in past episodes. They are a cowardly but peaceful race. The new person who's in charge calls for a shuttle for everyone to evacuate the building, but the people behind say, we've already sent one, you already called for one. And the Doctor figures out that the ghosts must have called for one because they needed to escape as well, to infect more people. The people were keeping themselves safe because they had a Faraday cage. So the Doctor comes up with a plan to lure all the ghosts into the Faraday cage. And he figures out what the ghosts are saying. They're saying the dark, the sword, the forsaken, the temple. And he figures out that the symbols inside their spaceship were coordinates and where they had to go. The Doctor figures out in order to break this symbol, he has to take the TARDIS and go back in time to where the broadcast originated from. He promises Clara that he'll be back. The ghosts do something, they mess with the electrical grid. And at the end of this cliffhanger, we see in this underwater facility, we see a ghost approaching the outside of the glass. And it turns out to be the Doctor. You know that I love my quotes, and I only have one today, and it's by Lorraine Botner. And she says, we cannot conceive of God bringing into existence a universe without a plan, which would extend to all that will be done in that universe. Now, I'm calling this particular media therapy deep dive Predetermined Future. Funny thing about predeterminism is it real? Now, to go off of Miss Botner's quote, the oldest argument for predetermined future is God created everyone, and the argument is that your life is predetermined. God already knows everything that you're going to do before you do it. So the argument against that is about choice. Where's choice? Where's free will? If that's the case, why do I even have to try? Because my life is already laid out. At any point, do I have to stop trying? Can I just be rich and famous, and if I do nothing? Or do you have a series of futures? And it's almost like a choose your own adventure. My choice, like in video games, this choice affects what you do. You go here now and it's off to a different branch. But you saying or doing this affects the other people around you, and now they make some choices based on what you chose. That would make infinite possibilities. So how can your future be predetermined? Unless, much like the mess that is the multiverse and the MCU right now, there are several futures, many. And depending on what I do, depending on what I say, depending on who I come in contact with, could depend on where my life ends up. But that sounds more like chance than predeterminism. The idea of predeterminism suggests that all events, including human actions, have been decided or are known in advance, often by a higher power or fate, and are not subject to change. My little buddy, he was so convinced that his future was laid out for him that he drank himself to death until it cost him his life because he didn't want to go into the family business. He never once thought about all of the positives, all the good things that could have come out of him being a part of the family business. He just knew that that was not the life for him. But in him running from the family business, the life that he crafted was absolutely not the life for him. That was not the life that he wanted, not the life that he wanted by a long shot. The crazy thing is, in him denying the family business, he made a future far much worse than anything that he could have ever wanted if he had had enough gumption to sit down and have a talk with his parents. Because who knows? Maybe him being a part of the family business wasn't today. The day you graduate from high school, you take over the family business. Maybe that's not what they wanted. Maybe they were like, you know what? We want you to get out, see the world, live your own life, get married or whatever. But the idea is still for you to learn the business and eventually take over for your father. I don't know. I don't think he did either. He just knew he had it in his mind made up that he didn't want any parts of it. Now, why are we talking about a predetermined future? When the doctor decided to go back in time to fix the events, it's often said, you have what they call paradox, a chicken and egg situation. Because if he changed the signal, so there was no more signal, and tried to return to where he left, would everything be as it was? Because the events, the way they had unfolded when the Doctor and Clara first arrived, would not have happened. So would Clara be stuck in time? Are things going to happen exactly the way that they are predetermined to happen? Or do you have some say in the matter? The thing about life is life be lifing. I know that seems like a crass term, and what does that even mean? But you have plans, things that you want to do, and somehow life says, nah, mm-mm. You know, and kudos to whoever has everything work out for them exactly the way they want to. I don't know anybody like that. And I know some people who are damn lucky and things work out for them very well, but it's never everything they ever want to do works out extremely perfect the first time. Just doesn't. It's not how life works. But how much control do we have over it? Now, I tend to think that you have 100% control over your life and the choices that you make. I also believe that there is a higher power and that the Lord is guiding me towards choices I should make. But the thing is, I'm human and I err a lot. And sometimes I make choices, even with the guidance of the Lord, is because sometimes in order to learn that this is a certain height, you need to bump your head a couple times so that you can learn to duck. You need to walk around the corner and get hit in the face to learn to be cautious when you walk around corners. When you're a little kid, they tell you to look both ways before you cross the street. That's not because they want you to see what's going on down the street. They want you to make sure that a car is not coming and doesn't hit your crazy ass. How much choice do we actually have in our futures? Do you even believe in predeterminism? Predetermined futures. If you ask my parents what my future would have been, what it currently is completely different. Now, does that mean that they're not right? No. If you ask my mother right now what my future would be, she might say I don't know, because she's dealing with the current situation where I'm at today. But if you asked her many moons ago, she would have said something that I might eventually arrive at. Who's to say? You know, as we've been going through Doctor Who, we go to these 2-episode arcs. I'm enjoying it, and I can't wait for the next part, which will be coming out very soon. This is a different type of season. I'm really enjoying 12. See me back here. This is Rakai Steed, nupefromdaville. Make sure that you like and share this video as much as possible. And if you can, throw me a couple comments on what you think about predetermined future, what you think about my partner and how he tragically lost his life just to avoid a conversation. How has predeterminism worked out in your life? And if for some reason you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Hit the button. Watch many of the videos because something might resonate with you. Whatever I do, I always use this. But even more importantly, I always use this.